Now let's welcome in Eddie Gossage from Texas Motor Speedway as the Indy cars are headed for North Fort Worth this coming week. First off, have you ever had a problem with a pace car like they had in Detroit today?
Actually, yes. Johnny Rutherford, believe it or not, crashed the pace car at Texas Motor Speedway.
No less than Johnny Rutherford.
In an Indycar race, but not quite like this at the start where it's just so obvious. Johnny kind of, when that one happened, it kind of was out of everybody's view, and they kind of tried to hide it quickly. And we had a backup pace car, so he just jumped in the backup and acted like it didn't happen. This one today held up the start of the race 45 minutes.
Yeah, unfortunately, everybody was okay. But,
yes.
But is that one of the biggest fears for a Speedway president?
Oh, it's just one of many, because I've been going to races long enough. I actually saw the pace car stolen one time and taken for a joyride on the racetrack by a fan. Held up the start of a race, national television, the whole deal. So
don't get any ideas out there.
No, not anymore.
All right, well, let's talk about this race this week. And, of course, you've got the defending Indy 500 champion, who's also your defending champion from the June race last year, Will Power.
That's right. Will Power, he really he came to America from Australia as a great road racer, but you've got to be successful in oval track racing because the Indy 500 is the anchor of our racing in this country. And to be honest, he didn't like oval racing at all, but he is a very cerebral driver, and he really worked at it and really thought through it, and told me that 2 or 3 years ago, he won one of our races here. And that was what started him on his way to having success on ovals. And if you drive for Roger Penske, you're not going to drive long if you don't win it at Indy. And so he knew he needed to win Indy. He did, and so good for him. He defended champion, like you said, of our race. So he obviously has figured out Texas Motor Speedway, and that's good because he's married to a girl from Plano. So he's got friends and family that come. He said next to Indianapolis, he has more friends and family at Texas than any place.
And, of course, he got his big win a couple of weeks ago at Indy, but he's really established himself on this circuit, hasn't he?
He has. He won the championship last season, and he's now a threat everywhere we go. And today at Detroit, I think he finished second in that race. So he's after a really busy week where he didn't get to think anything at all about racing and didn't get to work with the team and didn't have any time in the simulator, which they always do to prepare for the next race coming up. He apparently did okay.
Okay, why is the DXE Technology 600, 7:45 on Saturday night, the most exciting race on the Indycar circuit?
It is unbelievable. These cars on this track, for whatever reason, are a perfect match. And if you go 220 miles an hour, and you know how everything looks faster at night, the pitcher's pitch or the players running on a football field, 220 miles an hour is fast to start with, and then you put it under the lights, it's spectacular. You see, full load of fuel and cold tires, the car sits a little lower, so they'll be actually dragging the ground a little bit in the turns right at the start after a pit stop, and you'll see sparks fly out that you don't see in the daytime. It's an awesome thing to see. So the night just accentuates all the characteristics of IndyCar racing.
And it just seems like here you always have close finishes.
We almost always have a photo finish with the Indy cars. You're right. And last year we certainly had a wild one. I think only 6 cars were running at the end. Everybody else had bounced off of each other and crashed into each other. It was a wild, crazy night. But yeah, the Indy cars, if you've never been to a race, you need to go to Texas Motor Speedway next Saturday night because this is a fairly short race, about 2 hours in length, so it's not going to exhaust you with all day or all night. But it's just unbelievable, the speed, the sheer speed. It's like turning a bunch of fighter jets loose inside a high school gymnasium. And I mean, it's unbelievable. It's hard to explain.
Where do you see the IndyCar circuit? Where is it at right now? Is it sort of getting a revitalization, so to speak?
It is. And it's you can see it. You can feel the momentum as it's coming back. It wasn't that long ago, maybe 25 years ago. It was the preeminent racing series in America. And for that matter, drivers around the world were coming to IndyCar. Nigel Mansell, the Formula One champ, left Formula One to come here. He left his defending his championship to come here to race in IndyCar. So, I think it's coming back around in a big way. We're glad to be a part of it. And I tell you, if the product they put on the track Saturday night is anything like what they do the rest of the year, it's going to be awesome.
All right. How would you describe the IndyCar fan compared to the NASCAR fan?
There's a lot that crossover, but there are some fans that are strictly IndyCar fans. They're a little more interested in high tech. Both NASCAR and IndyCar NASCAR's far more high tech than given credit. IndyCar certainly is high tech. But I would think that the fans demographically are a little more interested in the technical aspects. They're not so much a fan of the driver, like a NASCAR fan is a fan of a certain driver. They're more a fan of the technical aspects of the cars. So that's what they're interested in. And some people say that it's they don't care about the speed. Well, you know, if they'd come out there and see it at 220 miles an hour, they'd be a fan of these drivers. These drivers are amazingly good, but the technical things they have to work with, the computer-generated, you know, they were talking today during the race, a driver had run over something, and he said, I don't know if one of my left rear tire is flat, and he said, all the tires are up. Well, they're looking at a computer who's reading out, you know, everything about the car, you know, in current time. So the crews have so much more to work with than NASCAR, where they don't allow all that kind of technical stuff on the car during a race.
And finally, not only the IndyCar race, but you got much more going on this weekend.
We do. We've got NASCAR trucks on Friday night, and what's more Texasy than a bunch of pickup trucks going 185 miles an hour. And then, of course, Saturday at 5:15, we've got the Speed Stadium Offroad Trucks. We build these metal jumps on the front straightaway, and these off-road trucks, just like you see in Baja, will jump as high as the top of the fence, about 20 feet in the air, as they make their laps. There's 5 of these jumps, and there's one jump that is made out of dirt in the infield. They jump over the wall into the infield. It's 12.5 feet tall and 70 feet across, so it's like, you know, a daredevil every lap. We run those at 5:15 for qualifying, and then after the IndyCar race, we'll put the ramps back in place, and we'll have the feature races for the off-road trucks. So for one ticket, you're going to have off-road racing, you're going to have the IndyCar race, and we've got an off-road expo going on in the infield all weekend long. So there's a lot to do.
And Scott Paget says you'll have good weather too.
Well, Scott's a good man this time around. We'll let him keep his job this year.